Beijing has accused Washington of causing trouble after the U.S. Navy sailed a warship through the sensitive Taiwan Strait yesterday. It was America's first transit through the waterway since the island's presidential and parliamentary elections earlier this month. A spokesperson for China's defense ministry described the move as a provocative act, undermining regional peace and stability.
中美海空军事安全问题的根源在于美军舰机跑到中国家门口滋事挑衅，在中国周边海空域进行长时间、大范围、高频度的抵近活动。
Washington defending its move, saying the vessel was beyond the territorial sea of any coastal state. Wednesday's transit was the first by the U.S. military since William Lai of the independence-leaning Democratic Progressive Party was elected president of Taiwan on the 13th of January. His win resulted in an unprecedented third term in power for the DPP after Beijing warned that re-electing that party could raise the risk of conflict across the Taiwan Strait. And more CNA's Minmin joins us from Shanghai. Minmin, we've seen there the Ministry of Defense in Beijing responding to the transit of this warship. What else has Beijing said?
Well, this is not new. Remember that the U.S. has been regularly conducting these patrols in both the South China Sea and the Taiwan Strait, and China has always been opposed to it. So it's not surprising that this time the People's Liberation Army spokesperson again had strong words to say about it, calling the U.S. to stop these dangerous activities that they say could trigger an accident in the sea or in the air. And this time the PLA had monitored the U.S. warship closely throughout the entire process, but they said they had acted with professionalism and restraint, but that they also added that Chinese troops are on high alert at all times to resolutely safeguard China's sovereignty, of which Taiwan is a part of.
Minmin, of course, drills across the Taiwan Strait, those have become relatively regular occurrences, but Beijing also saying its military will continue to prepare for war. What does it mean when it says that?
China has always regarded Taiwan as a part of its territory to be united by force if necessary. But we must remember that China's top leadership has repeatedly emphasized that the ideal scenario would be reunification by peaceful means. So despite the often very bellicose comments that China has made about Taiwan, especially when it's provoked, analysts cautioned that an all-out war is still unlikely for several reasons. First of all, the economic and human costs are going to be enormous and is not beneficial to all sides. Second, it's still questionable at this point if China's military is truly combat ready, especially given the recent personnel changes we have seen in the military. For instance, a change of the defense minister and the rocket chiefs. And third, an invasion of Taiwan may not guarantee victory, especially with the U.S. or other countries threatening to intervene on Taiwan's behalf. So what's more likely to happen, though, analysts say, is a continuation of the status quo, and what that would look like is the U.S. continuing its freedom of navigation patrols in the Taiwan Strait, China continuing its sending regular sorties to the Taiwan island, and remember, China still has other tools in its toolkit, and that includes doling out economic punishments, for instance, by withdrawing preferential tariffs for certain Taiwanese products. It could also ban certain Taiwanese food imports based on biosecurity grounds. But analysts say that China is unlikely to use force unless it is backed into a corner. But still, the situation is very fluid, so we'll have to keep monitoring the situation very closely.
And thanks for that. Minmin speaking to us there from Shanghai.